The power of building an audience for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs and business owners are always looking for more ways to generate more leads and grow their sales. In fact, it is the number one problem that they indicate in trying to build a successful business. We all complain about it because at the end of the day, that really is the engine that keeps the business moving. When we're able to generate enough leads and sales, we're able to stay in business, we're able to earn a profit, we're able to pay the bills, and everything else goes really well. When we're not, obviously that's a big problem because no matter how good everything else is in our business, we aren't going to be able to survive if we don't make more than what we spend or what our expenses are. So traditionally, trying to do this and focusing on this aspect of our business has been sort of a matter of constant outreach for prospecting and lead generation. And there's a variety of different ways that this is done based on what business we're in, what industry, sort of what the norms are, and where our customers are going to be hanging out. So we might use ads, and ads could be anything from online ads to radio ads to TV ads, magazine ads, billboards. I put anything in the ads category where we're basically paying to sort of get eyeballs on what it is that we're doing. And so that's, a very simple, easy to understand method to generate leads because people understand. You write a check, you put up your message in front of, who's ever your audience, and that audience will come to you. There's cold calls, so we could do outreach where we're on the phone and we're reaching out to people that we think might be prospects. We could do direct mail. It seems a little antiquated nowadays and sort of old school, but the reality of it is it still works. If it didn't work, you wouldn't be getting any mail anymore. And I don't know about you, but I still get tons of mail. So direct mail can work really well. Email, obviously. The issue there is making sure we have a list that we have permission to send to, but basically email or some other method, but they all come down to sort of trading effort or trading money for leads, right? And so the whole idea is we're in this constant battle of trying to create an equation where the amount of effort or the amount of money we're spending to get the leads is less than the amount of sales and revenue we generate from the leads. And that's really what it comes down to because we need to convert those into customers. So plain and simple, if we sell more to the customers through our conversion process than we spend to get them, then we have a profitable business and hopefully maybe we can even scale it. If we don't make as much as we spend, then the problem we've got is we need to make changes quickly or we'll be out of business because we're running at a loss. If we're in debt but we're running at a profit, we can sustain that. If we are, no matter what our situation is, if we're running at a loss, you can only do that for so long before your business goes under. And so this is the way many businesses have worked forever. It's sort of the age-old way that it's always happened. And, the other way I didn't actually mention, but it just occurred to me is, the storefront is another way, right? You pay a premium for walk-in, traffic space. So you're in a space where people can find you, not through advertising or cold calling, but through your location. But again, you're going to pay a big premium, and that only really works well for retail style industries and businesses. So, but it's yet another way where we're basically trading because we're saying, here, I'm going to spend more money. I could get an office space in the back of this building across town, but I know that this is where the downtown area is. This is where all the customers are going to be. So I'm going to pay a lot more to be here. But what if there was a better way? What if there was a way to actually have customers come to us and do that at little expense and have them be already excited and ready to buy? So instead of needing to convince or persuade or market people into buying from us, instead, basically, they would come to us and say, yeah, what do you got? I want to buy it. And what if it was also dependable and it worked consistently and it could even be scaled so we could get more results over time? I mean, that would be an absolute game changer, wouldn't it? What business wouldn't want that? Well, thankfully, if you're listening to this, you're about to discover exactly how to do that and the real power of this. And for a lot of us, This has been right under our nose the whole time. It isn't a big secret, actually, but it's something that's so powerful. It's really important to articulate and spell out in a way where we can really understand the impact. So what's the secret? It's to build an audience. Build an audience. When we create a loyal following of people who are aligned with our brand, our values, our personality, who, they want our products and services because of who we are, because of our connection with them. And it's a super powerful method for this. In fact, it is what the influencer industry is in a nutshell, right? You build a loyal following, and it doesn't need to be massive. People think about the biggest influencers or the biggest audiences on the planet, and they're all excited. You think about podcasts, and you think about the top few on the and you think about influencers, and you think about the name brand ones but for every one of those, there are 100 more that are under the radar that we may not know about personally, but yet they're super successful because they have a really loyal group of following. The mistake people have made since the advent of social media and trying to build followings is that they've always focused on the numbers, how large the audience is. The size of the audience is secondary. The primary factor is the engagement level. If we have an audience that's super engaged, and by the way, this we could see hints of this even in the email marketing industry. In email marketing, people were always obsessed with how big their list was. And so you had people that were building these massive lists, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 people. But when they would send out emails, they get 0.5% click rate. Then you have these people with a list of, 2,000 people on it, and they're outperforming them in an affiliate contest because of those 2,000 people, they're getting a 60% open rate and a 5% click rate. You don't need a gigantic list if it's really, really powerful. And the audience is exactly the same thing. It's far better to have, 5,000 followers that when you say something, 30% of them are going to go and listen and follow through or check out what you're talking about than it is to have 2 million followers that when you say something. Now, is there a difference in terms of who will approach you to pay you money to? Of course. If we were an influencer, we had 2 million people, you're going to have a line of people beating down your door to get you to promote. But they're not going to come back because once you promote it once and they don't make any sales, they're going to say, well, this was a total waste. So if we build that audience, then we have control of that whole ecosystem and that marketing arm. And so, it's sort of a crass way to look at it because ultimately we're trying to do something genuine and building a real relationship. But if we're equating it back to business and dollars and cents, because at the end of the day, we all do need to make sales to stay in business, that's where the power of that really becomes. So when we talk about building an audience, there are actually a bunch of ways to do that. And it's not just one or another. So we could use social media content. So, being a social media marketer or, quote, influencer. Now, we have our own brand and our product, so we aren't trying to be an influencer for other people necessarily. So it's a little different. We're trying to build that audience around our own brand, but the principle is the same. The idea is we're trying to put content out there that resonates with the audience so they come to us and then they're interested in what we have to say. We can make a YouTube channel, right? We could create a blog. Even though it's written form, there are still a lot of blogs that are very popular. We can make a podcast or any way that we can get our message and our content out so we can show our prospective audience that we can help and serve them. That's really what it's all about. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start to build an audience, there are a few, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on mistakes because I want to talk more about the benefits. But I think it's important to mention this for anybody that might be thinking, well, yeah, I tried that, but it doesn't really work. There are two big mistakes that people make. One is they go into the idea that it's this cash cow, they can't wait to build the audience, and all they want is speed, 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 speed. So after a couple of months, when they don't have a gigantic audience, they give up. Well, the fact of the matter is, yes, it takes longer than that. But on the flip side, you have an evergreen marketing machine. If somebody told you if you did this particular thing, You would never have to worry about getting prospects, leads, customers, or sales again. You would know that your business was here to endure as long as you want to run it, and you'd barely have to pay for advertising or cajole people or close people to get them to buy your products and services. Would you want that? I mean, most people would jump at that. But because it isn't instantly gratifying, we run an ad, we get clicks. To build an audience, it takes time. We put a lot into it. In the beginning, we get very little back, if anything. It sometimes feels like, is it even working? But we have to consistently keep going. But the other mistake, and this one's even bigger, is the mistake that people make is they start making content for themselves. Look at me kind of content. It's content focused on showing everybody who you are instead of giving them what they need. And that's the flip side of what we want to do. When we start talking about us, how great we are, all that we know, in that context, with that lens, people pull away and they aren't interested. When we start focusing on what does our audience need, what are our audience pain points, what are their goals, what are their dreams, how can what we do help them get to where they're going? And the more we're able to focus on that, the more we're able to produce content that gives them value, the faster people resonate to us. So it's a giving type of a situation, not a telling or a bragging or a, look, I should be more popular than so-and-so. And nobody cares about that. They care about what's in it for them. And so once we do that, the right people will resonate with the message and they'll want to hear more from us. So let's dive into detail and let's take a little bit closer look at this from a few different angles. So first, let's talk about some of sort of the benefits and the strategy behind this. So one of the strategic benefits that we get from building an audience is that it provides us direct access to our potential customers. This is huge because, again, in most cases, what we need to do is we need to put an ad out or some kind of feeler out, and we know that a lot of the people that are going to see it, no matter how good our targeting is, are never going to buy from us. They're not really our market. We know that those advertising dollars or that effort is wasted, but there's nothing we can do about it because we don't have another option. We've got to be able to find customers. When we have an audience, people are joining us, people are listening to our message by choice. So if we don't have value, if we don't have something to give them that they want, they just won't tune in. But the converse of that means that everybody who is, everyone that's listening, everyone that's downloading, everyone that's watching or engaging with our content wants to hear what we have to say. And that's a very powerful switch. Getting a message in front of somebody who's ambivalent to us, doesn't know us, doesn't care about us, and trying to convince them to buy is a heck of a lot harder than having an audience that's waiting to hear from you and then eager to investigate and click on links you give them and try out stuff that you're recommending. So it's a massive, massive difference in terms of the amount of lifting it takes to then get sales or generate revenue from that. So it provides direct access to our potential customers, and they're all going to be targeted. It also creates a loyal community around our brand. This is very powerful because the power of community goes beyond the individual of people that are interested in what we're doing, so they come to us. It expands out because communities, by their very definition, tend to be interactive. They tend to be ones where people share, people want to discuss, people want to involve other people and bring them in as well. And so if we built a strong community with a loyal community and we've done right by our subscribers and our followers and our audience, they're much more likely to talk to other people about us also, and the community will start to build. It starts to get interactive. It starts to grow on itself. And we don't need to push all the engagement all the time. The engagement will be created by the community itself through the very nature of being part of the community. And that's one really amazing thing about it. It also enables cost-effective marketing because now we don't need to spend tons of money to create that awareness. We don't need to be able to do that because they already have the awareness. All we need to do is get the message in front of them with a product or a service that's valuable to them. And we already know what that is because it's based on the messaging we're already using. And then once we do that, they're much more likely to want to be able to buy it. So we don't need to spend as much money on advertising and promotion to make sales. It also builds long-term business sustainability, because if we have this following and that following is going to move with us and go with us wherever we go, we know that no matter what changes, no matter how the economy does, no matter what this is, no matter who's elected president, these things don't matter, because we have this marketing sort of pool of people that's going to come around with us and be interested in what we have to do, interested in our new projects, interested in any new product or service we provide. And so that allows for long-term business sustainability. It allows for more risk-taking. It allows for more investment in things we want to create because we know there's a market for it already. That's really, really powerful. In addition to those benefits, the other thing that we get is direct communication channel with our prospects. So we're no longer needing to go through a third party or some other opportunity in order to be able to reach them in whatever limited messaging capacity we've got. If we have them on our list, if we have them in our audience, if we have them tuning in and looking at the content we're making, we have the ability to communicate directly with them, which is really powerful. That also allows us to bypass those traditional marketing barriers. So whether or not it be messaging limitations or ad restrictions or time. Sometimes even if we're trying to run something, it takes a while to get that up, or there's no availability, or we eliminate all of these things, all those traditional marketing barriers, because we're able to go direct to the people that are our prospects and our potential customers and be able to share that message. So it allows us to engage directly with them, which also means that our message can be aligned with our personality, aligned with our brand, aligned with our values, because we don't need to worry about prospecting. We've already got the prospects sort of narrowed down. So everybody we're talking to now, the messaging can be a lot more targeted. And it also allows us to create meaningful relationships. And this is one of the big ones, because the fact is, when we're advertising, we might be generating awareness. We might even be generating a little bit of goodwill. Maybe if we have, something about our company where, we're socially conscious, or maybe we have funny ads or something like that. So there's always a potential, but when we're speaking directly to our audience, it allows us to deepen those relationships and create meaningful connections. And that is going to be the key and the secret, ultimately, to being able to make things work long-term on a larger scale. Another benefit that we're going to get by having an audience is reduced marketing costs, right? Across the board, the marketing costs go way down. So yes, we're going to put in a lot up front. We're going to put in time. Maybe we even put in money to help grow our following. But at the end of the day, we have reduced marketing costs because now our customer acquisition expenses go way down. We aren't always needing to fight for new customers. When you look at the cost of doing business and cost of customer acquisition, every business owner, every entrepreneur, since the history of time, will tell you it's far less expensive and more profitable to sell to our current customers and prospects than it is to go out and try to find new ones. And so we're automatically at a lower cost. But also, we don't need to go through the whole rigmarole of bringing people through a funnel where they start off with awareness and then a prospect and then maybe they're interested. We already have people that we know are interested. And so the customer acquisition expenses go down, and we don't need to always be worried about being on that hamster wheel of always generating new and more and, increasing, amount of leads all the time. Our organic reach, is going to be through engaged followers. So the other benefit that we're going to get is because we're already resonating with the market we're talking to and the people we're talking to, they're going to be more likely not only to buy, not only to engage with our content, share our content, they're going to be more likely to obviously refer other people as well. Because now they're not somebody on the end of some advertising cycle that maybe we've convinced to buy, but they don't know anything about us or wouldn't be confident enough to share. Instead, we've got somebody that knows who we are, believes in what we stand for, when they see a product or service, even if they can't benefit from it, if they know someone who does, they're much more likely to be able to share that and talk about it because they know that the odds are it's going to be able to help whoever they know needs that help. And so the organic reach through engaged followers is going to go way up. And higher conversion rates. I mean, plain and simple, when we are marketing to a cold audience or even a warm audience that aren't really all of our targeted prospects, we're lucky if we get a decent, a couple percent conversion. That's pretty good. When we're dealing with a market where all the people have already raised their hand to say, yes, I believe in what you're saying. I want to hear messaging from you. I'm interested in all the things you have to offer. Your conversion rates are going to go through the roof. You could double, triple, quadruple, quintuple the kind of results that you'd get, and you're not spending money to do it each time. So it's super, super powerful. It's important to really grasp the benefit and the significance, the profound ability that this is going to create for your business if you're willing to put the time and energy in up front. So if we look at audience monetization strategies, this is another thing. In addition to all the regular products and services that we're offering, that we had planned to offer, we already have, here's the other thing. When we have an audience, now we have the ability to expand that out. And what's even better is we don't even need to guess. So we could create products that we think are going to benefit, or we could ask our audience, what is it that you want? Where's the pain point that I haven't been able to solve for you? What things would you benefit from? And then create them. They're already going to tell us what they're interested in. So we could create digital products. No matter what market we're in, we could create digital products around that because we already have an audience where we're going to be able to market those. We could offer exclusive content. So anything that is valuable or would be perceived valuable to our audience, we're going to be able to offer that because it's such a tight niche and they tell us these are the things that we want. We have the ability to do that. And they may want things that are personal to us, like they might want individual coaching or a private mastermind group. Whereas to convince somebody from the outside, oh, you're just another coach, oh, you're just another marketer, whatever, there's a million of you. Why would we go with you? Well, when it's our own audience and we say we're going to offer that, they're going to jump at it because they already want more connection with us. Develop membership programs. Membership programs can be super profitable and it's recurring revenue. So if we have a recurring revenue membership program that people are able to get involved in, now they can get access to what they want, us, our content, our products, our services on an ongoing basis, and we can get paid over and over and over again for that. Super powerful. Launch online courses. So we could create online courses as well. If any of the things that we're doing are instructional in nature or requires or would benefit from a course on whatever it is that we're doing, even if we're selling a physical product, like maybe we have a garden store, we could still sell an online course about how to set up an organic garden. So we need to think outside the box. But the point is, once we have that audience, the power here, and I hope you're starting to see that the options that you have become almost unlimited, and your ability to profit becomes that much more fine-tuned, and your costs go down and your revenue goes up and your security goes way up because now you have this audience that loves you, loves what you're doing. So it's going to be a lot easier. You don't need to always be worried about, what if Facebook changes their ad algorithm and my ads don't work anymore? Well, if that's how you're relying on business, you're out of business. So provide consulting services. This is another big one. People want that one-on-one sometimes. So again, depending on what we're doing, it's just another option for being able to expand that out and be able to generate more revenue from that, because we are going to be able to do that too. So what about the platforms? Like, how can we grow this audience now? Well, we have the social media networks. So certainly we could go and create an Instagram account, a Facebook account, whatever, TikTok, and just build an audience in there. Those things are already designed for that purpose. Now, Again, it's going to take time. Those are going to be very, very popular, very competitive places. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but that can be done. LinkedIn professional groups. LinkedIn has groups. You can do newsletters in LinkedIn. So there's a lot of ways to build an audience there as well. And depending on our market, that would be part of what's going to drive this. If we're dealing with business professionals, LinkedIn is going to be a better option probably than TikTok. If we're dealing with a younger generation, maybe we want TikTok instead of LinkedIn. If we're doing something that's very visual, then we want Instagram or TikTok. So there's a lot of different things. We want to appeal to an older audience. Maybe Facebook is the right thing. We can make a YouTube channel. Again, super competitive, but if you have a good channel, the amazing thing about videos is that, and especially YouTube, is they get SEO rankings. So they get automatic organic search because Google owns it. So obviously they want it to be really successful and they want to turn it into a search engine. So a YouTube channel can work. Podcasting. A podcast is a great way because we have a deep relationship with our audience. We're talking, in depth. We're not on a scroll-worthy sort of medium where people are tuning in, tuning out every few seconds and you got to grab their attention. Once somebody's listening to your podcast episode, they're on there. And so we have the ability to do that as well. And podcasting is a great way to build an audience, become super popular. Email newsletters. Even though it might seem old school, we can even use email. 100% build a list through email. It's a really powerful asset because if you have a good relationship and you have a high open and click rate and you're treating your list well, then you can really do a lot with that. And you can pre-sell and resell lots of your products very easily. A personal blog or a website. We don't want to discount the fact that, blogging still exists as well. And there are some very popular blogs that people tune into all the time and websites as well. And again, it's competitive like everything else and it takes time, but we can build that as well. So there's a lot of different ways that we can build it. So now let's take a look from through the lens of like audience engagement, right? So how then, if we pick a platform, we understand all the benefits, like, wow, this is powerful. I really want to do this. All right, I've decided what medium works best for me. And by the way, your market is part of what that decision should be driven by, but your own preferences as well. If you don't like to be on video, then why would you make a YouTube channel? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't like to listen to audios, then why would you make a podcast? Like, you want to pick something that makes sense for you and your market. It's got to be a place your market hangs out, but it also has to resonate with who you are. If you love taking photos of yourself, then maybe Instagram is the right thing. If you hate that, then you probably don't want to do that, So pick and choose based on that as well. So audience engagement techniques. Well, one of the things, and this is obvious that everybody always says, is to consistently provide value. We've got to be making content a lot. We just do. And it's not because you need lots of content for content's sake. It's because to cut through the noise that exists in the digital space right now, especially in the social media platforms where it's scrolling and scrolling and you have to stop people get attention, repetition matters a lot. So getting that message out there again and again and again, people will see your stuff lots and lots of times often before they'll ever interact with it. And it's important to recognize that just because you aren't getting likes and shares doesn't mean your content isn't working, especially in the beginning. It's still creating that brand. It's carving out that space in people's minds to position you there, and it takes a little bit of time to do that. So consistently provide value. Share personal experiences. This is a big one. And it's one of the things I struggle with even with the podcast. I'm sort of a private person. And so I always believed that everything that I was going to create had to be about business. If it's for entrepreneurs, it's got to be tips about how to grow your business all the time. Well, that stuff's useful. But at the same time, people want to know about you. They want to know your story. That's what brings people in. That vulnerability, that willingness to share is the very thing that connects us. And when we are resistant, then people are standoffish because there's a space there. There's a tension in between us. When we start to share our personal experiences, we become more relatable. Then everybody understands, oh, he is like me. She is like me. They do have the same problems. They do have the same challenges. They do go through the same issues that I do. Solve specific problems. So we want to make content for the audience, not for ourselves. So if they have a problem, if they have an issue, if they have a dream, a goal, we want to address those things in the content we're making. So that way we're helping them solve their problem. That's going to get engagement. Create interactive content. Ask questions. Ask for feedback. You know what I mean? Don't just put stuff out there all the time as a tell, but ask, engage, ask for engagement. Tell me what you think, sound off, post your comments, share your wins, whatever it is. Ask questions in our posts that elicit responses, fill in the blanks, quizzes, whatever. Interactive content matters because when people get in the habit of interacting, it becomes more two-way, it becomes more fun, they become more engaged. And 100% respond to audience feedback. People will put content out there and they're excited, they can't wait to get engagement. Then they start to get engagement and they just leave it. Like, oh, okay, good, I got 3 comments, excellent. Next post. No. That's when you go in and you respond to each of those people. You thank them for engaging, and you reinforce that by letting them know you're a human being and that you appreciate it. That will get more engagement when they know that you're actively engaging with what they're doing. If you don't engage back, they don't know if you care or not. So they're kind of like, all right, I guess I'll just move on. Now, long-term business advantages, let's look at it from a zoomed out lens as well in terms of what we can do. We can establish thought leadership. When we build an audience, one of the things that we're doing from a branding standpoint is we're establishing ourselves as an expert. So people are going to start to view us as an expert. When they don't know us, we might be an expert, but there's no way to convey that right away. When they've seen enough of our stuff and it's going on and on and on, then they know, okay, this person really knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? So they're a thought leader. It can build credibility in our industry because now not only do we have a footprint with our audience, but relative to other people, we have credibility. We can create multiple revenue streams because now we've got the ability to not only do what we're doing, sell what we're selling, but as we mentioned, we can start to add digital products, coaching, membership. We can get speaking engagements. We can start to do all these other things, host live events. So that also leads to generating passive income opportunities. Once we have a following, people will say, hey, use my microphone and I'll be a sponsor. I'll pay you. You know what I mean? Wear my shirt, drink my soft drink, whatever it is, and we'll pay you for that. So that way you get paid just for using their stuff, because they know that your audience is looking at it and your audience is really engaged. So they're willing to pay us now instead of us needing to pay to get that. Develop a supportive professional network by strategically building an audience, you know what I mean? Then we can really transform our personal brand into a powerful business asset with sustainable growth potential. And that's really what I hope by looking at this from all these different angles you got out of this. Is the fact that the audience is worth the time investment. Yes, you're going to do a lot of work up front. No, you're not going to get results right away. And so it is hard to sustain if you feel like you're always busy needing to get new clients. But if you start incrementally and build your way up, before you know it, 6 months have gone by, a year has gone by. Now you've got a following. Now you just need to build it a little bit bigger. As you build it bigger and bigger, you'll notice that you start getting better and better results and you're able to make more as well. So the takeaway here is that no matter what our business or industry, one constant with any business is that we need prospects and we need customers. It's the only way to make sales. And we need a constant flow so that we can get, and get them for a lower cost than the revenue that we earn from them, so we can be profitable and afford to keep operating and possibly scale too. Because if we don't make more than what we spend, then we can't stay in business. So we could try all the traditional methods. There's nothing wrong with it. They work. Buying ads, cold calls, mail, email, or any of those ideas. Or we can invest some more time and energy up front, clarify our messaging, get the word out, and have the right audience resonate with our message and be drawn to what we're doing. It takes a lot more time up front and energy, but it creates an evergreen, continuous demand for every product and service we create. and helps ensure that we can achieve success and, just as importantly, maintain that success too.